Buenas noches, ¿cómo están? Vamos a esperar que se conecten. Acabamos de entrar. Quería obviamente disculpar porque entramos un poquito tarde y sé que muchos de nosotros aquí estamos pendientes a lo que está sucediendo con estos huracanes porque estamos en la temporada de huracán. So, estamos todo el mundo, sea con la conexión del internet, un poquito afectada o resolviendo situaciones como asegurándonos que las casas estén aseguradas. So, vamos a darle un tiempecito para que las personas se conecten y ya está con nosotros nuestra invitada de la noche.
Hello.
Girl, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Are you home?
Yes, I finally made it home.
Okay. How is everything over there with rains and things like that?
Oh, thank God, Dominican Republic. Oh my God, it's so blessed. Um, there's no rain. It's very hot, but my mom lives. Her house is more in the mountains, so you could feel the breeze in her home. So that's
So
very, very.
there's no rain over there right now.
No, not at all. It's beautiful.
Lucky you, lucky you. We are here inundated. Well, I'm in Broward County,
Hmm.
and obviously it was foreseen that it was going to come over here, but it's not. But we're still getting the winds, the rain,
Wow.
and definitely, it's not coming this way. It's not I want to say good or bad because then that just means it goes in another direction, so it doesn't affect us, but
Right.
it's going to hit another area that we still have to be very cautious about and be concerned with the people that it is going
Hmm.
to going to hit eventually. So, you usually get mixed feelings like, yay, it's not going to come this way, but oh my God, wherever it's going, it's going to do some damage.
It's being affected by you guys. I mean, we can't do any closings this week because of the storm. Apparently, the insurance is in the box, so we can't purchase any insurance
Mm,
for for the homes right now because of the tropical storm. I mean, we
mm-hmm.
hitting. You guys are getting hit a lot of water.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
affecting us in every ways,
Yeah.
business wise.
Exactly. That's very, very true. Very true. Well, I know that we have attempted we've done a few lives together already.
Yes,
Okay. As we said, this is not our first rodeo,
right.
but this is the first time we're doing it in English. So
Yes.
that a lot of people, I've actually spoken to different people and
Hmm.
they don't even know that I speak English, which is funny. Okay. Because every single time I do a lot of these and I've done them for many, many years. I've only done them in Spanish.
Oh
So
wow.
this is going to be, one of the first of many that we're definitely going to be doing in English.
Okay.
So I wanted you, obviously, as our guest of honor, tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in the business, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Okay. Well, my name is Jeanette Perdomo.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the business for 27 years. Right now, I am with my own company, Riviera Land Title. So, everyone, welcome aboard.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Thank you. Thank you. Um, the title industry is my passion. My title work with all my love, even though a lot of people say, "You crazy. Titles is so stressful," but for me, it's not. I mean, I love it. I go the extra mile with my clients, and I make sure that that title is very clean before we transfer it to the new owners. So that's my expertise. Title is for me is like a piece of cake, and it's a challenge because you learn every day. This is not something that you do all the time. It's something new comes up in a title. It's like, oh my God, what is this?
Mhm.
What's going on? What? Sometimes I have to call my underwriter because I don't know it all.
Well,
But
you and I have one going on right now that we're trying to resolve. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So that we can close it.
yeah,
So that might be like a perfect little example to
Absolutely.
show people how
Yes.
complicated it can be, how important your job function is within the buying and the selling process, which is the series that I have going on for this entire month,
Right.
letting people know that the next 30 days we're going to have different people in the industry that is involved in the purchase of a home from execution of the contract to closing. So that's a period of time that can be anywhere from 3 weeks to 30 days,
Maybe
sometimes a little
45.
longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jeanette is one of the very important pieces of this puzzle. She handles the transfer of title. So that's going from one owner to the other owner, and she makes absolutely sure that there are no problems when you're handing that property over from the seller to the buyer, and that what the buyer is getting is what's called clean title, and that all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed,
Right.
and we avoid any problems in the future. So let's start by saying that she's one of the first people. Let's say we execute contract today. That deposit, that escrow deposit, goes into Jeanette's hands. Doesn't come into my hands. Okay, that goes straight into the title company, and hence from that point on, that's when Jeanette's job actually starts. So tell us a little bit about that. Where does that money go? Where is it placed? And how do we get this started?
So the escrow money goes into our escrow account. So once we receive the escrow, we go ahead and provide a escrow letter together, either with the wires confirmation or a copy of the check. The minute we get that, we right away send it to every listing agent and selling agent. And I'm in top of my things. The minute I receive a contract, the first thing I do is introduce myself as the title company and make sure that they have my information. I make sure that I send their buyers and seller information, because realtors, please understand, if we do not have buyers and seller information sheet, we don't know who they are. I understand that we do title search and everything, but we need their social, forwarding address. We need every information that you could provide to us so we could have a smooth closing. It will be very, very appreciated, because you guys are making our life easier. But if you guys don't provide us with those information, then we cannot assume, are they a single person? Are they married? They getting a divorce? We need to know all of this at the time before anything happens, so we have an idea how to structure those files. If we don't have that information, we're not going to be able to know. I understand there's days that um, a lot of realtors and mortgage companies, they forget to send us those things, but we have to make sure that we have all that information, so it will make our life easier. Every information help us to identify each buyer and seller.
Okay, perfect. I understood, because I know that the minute we send over a copy of the contract, just so
Right.
the people understand the way we work, me as
Right.
a brokerage, as a realtor, the transaction coordinator, which is somebody that I had here on the live 2 lives ago, which is what I explained. Part of what I do, super important, is that once we have an executed contract, I write down what's called a congratulations email, where I
Right.
send it to the seller and I send it to the buyer. Obviously, the realtor is involved with all of the corresponding and important dates on one sheet, and obviously who is involved in the transaction, from
Right.
the listing agent, the
Yes.
buyer's agent, title company, and all the different dates that are super important to be met. And
Right.
then once you are informed of this, you send us that sheet, to ourselves and to the people in the transaction, so that you can identify who is who.
Mm-hmm.
And then what does that do? Let's say social security numbers. I believe that comes into play. Let's say you get the title back and you see that there are judgments that don't necessarily are owned, okay, are
Right.
responsibility of any of the parties. So this is
Right.
actually a way that helps you clean some of the things that sometimes come up on title. Am I
And
correct?
also, we have to order payoff. Sometimes there are judgment against the property, or maybe it's a common name, but if you provide the social security, at least a 4 digit, in the meantime, if it's a refinance, but on a purchase, we're going to need a whole full social security, because at the end of the year, we have to report everything to the IRS. So that's very important that every seller, sometimes there is sellers that are being represented by an attorney. And I keep asking the attorney, please provide me with the seller information sheet. You don't need that. I'm representing the seller. I need it. I need their forwarding address, even though they're preparing seller's docs, but I need their forwarding address and I need their social security, you know? So a lot of attorneys feel powerful that, oh, they're representing me, but in reality, and I don't have nothing against the attorney, because, you know, I work with.
We might have some online right now.
I have attorney that I work for, you know, that I process for, and you know, because I do trust and I do probate, you know, I do a lot of things for attorneys. You know, not only do I do title, but you know, I also work with different attorneys to do those kind of work. And unfortunately, when an attorney is being represented by a seller, yes, you have to give the seller information, because we're going to need payoff. We're going to need to make sure those judgments are not the person that says that they are. You know, it's a lot of things. And, you know, and I encourage every person to please, when you're going to order a title or a contract, or you're going to send us anything, make sure that if we provide you with buyer seller's information sheet, you put everything there, so we don't have to go back and forth. And also, you know, it will make it easier that at the time of the closing, we already have everything, you know?
Perfect. So then what happens now? You have the escrow, you have that seller or buyer questionnaire completely filled out. Talk to us a little bit about what goes on. What is it that title is actually taking care of in this process? What does that entail?
Well, the first thing is that if once I receive a purchase contract, it's very important that every realtor, the other day I had a realtor, you know, sending them an email, letting them know that the buyer needs to get approved by the homeowners association. And the first thing that he told me was, well, that's not my job. It's your job to let the buyer know. And I said, well, I'm going to correct you there, because I want to make sure that when you get your next client, you do a better job on it.
Oof.
Oh, I don't need. He goes, I don't need to, because I don't help my clients to get approved by the homeowners association. It's very important that if the buyer doesn't get approved, we cannot close. The first thing that the buyer has to do is get approved by the homeowners association. If the buyer doesn't get approved by the homeowners association, we
There's
can't.
no closing.
There's no closing.
There's no closing.
Therefore, that's the first thing you have to do. Make sure that the homeowners association or the condominium association have enough reserve. Nowadays, there's a homeowners association and condominium association doesn't have enough reserve, and guess what? The deal is off.
Exactly.
Why? Or either you buy cash or the deal is off. So we have to be careful. Make sure that you associate with the association. Make sure you have all the information that you need to have before your client purchases that.
And what's interesting about that is we have to remember that even while all the other things are going on, we're getting the approval from the lender, we're getting the title search, we're getting the insurance, the inspection, and everything else that we're going to talk about in these next 30 days with each of the professionals we're going to have on here. Associations tell you in their application they can take up to 30 days. Some of them have an expedited process where you pay a little more, they'll expedite it. But again, every association has their own rules, has their own processes, has their own regulations. So the sooner we get on top of submitting that application with everything that they ask for, okay, and then of course us as realtors, we follow it up every week to make sure they're not missing anything and help our buyer and seller through these processes. That way, when we get to the end where Jeanette has done her portion of the job and every other professional has finished their part in this selling process, the association approval doesn't end up being a problem at the closing table. So, you order an estoppel, tell us what an estoppel is, and tell us what you order with the city for the liens. What is ordering title? What does that look like? And when does it come back? And what do you do while you're getting all these things back, which end up you doing cleaning the title for us? So tell us a little bit about that process.
I wanna speak about a topic that a lot of people forget as well. Special assessment. Special assessment, you gotta make sure that when you signing that contract, you gotta make sure if it's transferable. If it's not transferable, the seller is responsible to pay that special assessment unless everything is in writing per contract that the buyer is going to take over. So those things a lot of people forget, and I'm talking about in general because everybody forgets.
Not me. Not if you work with me as a realtor. No. This is not going to happen. Okay.
Right. So at the time of the closing, I have those kind of problems. I'm not paying for this special assessment. So when we order an estoppel letter, the estoppel letter tells you the monthly payment, if it's monthly, if it's quarterly, if it's yearly, because that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But a special assessment, a contribution fee, very important, contribution fee, transfer fee. So all of that an estoppel has. It tells you if the seller is behind 3 or 4 months, which is good. It gives us detail of the association.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are in collection. If there's in collection, I have to go by the attorney, to get the payoff because a lot of people are behind in their association. So
Okay.
that's one thing. Then on the lien search, we order lien search on all the properties, making sure there's no violations, making sure there's no lien, there's open permits, very important. A lot of people tell me, oh no, the permit is expired. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be closed at the time of the closing. Who says that? Oh my God, I hate when they tell me those things because if I'm going to give you a clean title, that expired permit needs to be closed at the time of the closing. No buts, no round of it, nothing. Oh, but we're trying to build another thing in the backyard. It has to be closed because that permit was for something else, not
Mm-hmm.
for what you're going to do right now when you buy the house. So it's very important that we see all of that. And then on title, same thing. The other day, I had a title commitment that came in. And one thing I could tell you, the seller didn't want to use me. But because in Broward and Dade, the buyer gets to choose the title company. So therefore, I'm representing the buyers. So the title commitment came in, and the title commitment says a whole bunch of liens of co-violations and open permits. The listing agent tells me those are for different property. Guess what? Every lien that has that name of the corporation, because it's some Thai LLC, it combines to all the property that he has. So therefore, they have to be closed. They have to be closed at the time of the closing.
Even though it had to do with another property?
Absolutely, because it's not under the property, it's under the name
The name of the person.
the seller. So, a lot of people don't know this, but in reality, it is what it is, and I keep telling the listing agent, listen, they need to be closed. And the first thing he told me, this is why I wanted to close with my title company. So what are you telling me is that if you would have closed with your title company, those liens would have still be open and you will not tell the buyer.
So it seems to be something that they knew about.
Yes, of course. They have a lot of violations. They're well known, and they take it step by step. But at the time of the closing, all those liens need to be satisfied. If I don't satisfy those liens, I'm not giving a clean title to the buyer.
And the whole idea, Jeanette, is that the underwriter won't allow you to close with that, correct?
No, not at all. You have to. You have to satisfy those liens. It's a must. Mm-hmm.
So we're
Absolutely.
talking about ordering an estoppel so that we can be clear if you're talking condo or you're talking an association. So you take care of ordering an estoppel. What's an estoppel? It lets you know what is tied to that property as far as association dues,
Right.
special assessments, and contributions, so that the new buyer does not inherit problems that were obviously the responsibility of the previous owner. So that's number one. Number two, you're talking about going to the city to get any pending liens and open permits, again, so that the new buyer does not inherit more problems. Then,
Right.
then we're talking about at what point in time you're talking lien searches, estoppel, you're talking, you check for the IRS.
Absolutely. The IRS, if there's a lien in the IRS and it's a purchase, we need a payoff from the IRS.
You mentioned earlier in one of the previous things that we were talking about, one of the previous lives, you have certain people that can tell you, hey, I have a payment arrangement with the IRS, so hence they're of the impression they do not have to pay this back from the proceeds of the sale. Talk to us a little bit about that so that people can get clarity that even if they have a payment arrangement with the IRS, what is it that happens at that point in time?
Right. So I had a few mortgage broker that they were refinancing, and there were 6 liens of the IRS.
Okay.
So they tried to refinance. So they owe almost 200,000. Yes, 200,000. And on the refinance, there wasn't, I asked them, can you please provide me with a payoff? They said, sure, no problem. So I went and go ahead and asked for the payoff. That I received it. When I saw the 200,000, I said, this is not closing, because he's refinancing to get money back. But because he owes so much money on the IRS, he's not going to be able to. So she tells me, they're making payments. And I said, even though they're making payments, you still have to collect the IRS payoff.
Mm-hmm.
Reason, they already put a lien against the title.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's in the title, that is it. There's no buts, there's no nothing. Even though they're making payment, now there's people that are making payments with the IRS and they have not put a tax lien. Hey, we don't see it in title, then we don't need to collect it. That's between and
Very interesting.
and I'm sorry.
Very interesting. So the difference there is if there is a lien against the property
Yes.
versus no lien.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have to give a clean title. Remember, we representing the lender right now. So if we refinancing and I told the lender, oh no, they're making payments, but the lien is still there. No, that's unacceptable.
No, they won't insure title.
No, they won't. Mm-mm. No. And another thing, now if it would have been a judgment, then it's different. If that's their homestead property and there's a judgment there, then we could do a homestead affidavit. When we do a homestead affidavit, that means that judgment is against that person's name, but because that's her homestead, they can't go after her because that's her homestead. So we do a homestead affidavit at the time of the closing.
Perfect. I learned that one the hard way. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, we learned that one the hard way because it happens to be that closing that we're talking about now.
Yes.
Because that is what he's arguing, because somebody was fighting the fact that that was his homestead. So he had to go into an entire process of showing that that has been his homesteaded property for years. So there was a whole process he had to go through with motion of dismissal, which is, what you have in your hands today, that the attorneys have been filing. So people have, it's not that they have a misconception, it's just they do not know. This is not what they do for a living. This is why they hire me as a realtor. And then obviously you get hired through the transaction to make sure that all these little things that seem little, but they're really not, that they actually get resolved. So is there a time limit? From my experience, this could take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to get resolved depending on what comes back on the title commitment, correct?
Right, absolutely. Sometimes a client tells me, I want to close in 2 weeks. And I said, okay, let's see what the title says. I will order everything in super rush. Normally, I order everything super rush. I have it in 2 or 3 days, which is good. I like to give good service. But when the title is clean, that's a good thing. Now let's look at the lien and let's look at the estoppel letter. So if everything clean, yes, we could close in 2 weeks. But if everything is so dirty, it's going to take at least 30 days, at least.
En español. Es que Edith, están preguntando que si podemos explicarlo en español. La cosa es que ya nosotros hicimos un live en español. Lo que podemos hacer es, más adelante, entre esta serie, volvemos a traer a Jeanette y lo vamos a hacer en español, pero el de hoy es en inglés. Por lo mismo, porque casi siempre, lo hacemos en español. Pero, muy, muy importante. Tú sabes que siempre lo presento en español para mi comunidad hispana.
Claro, claro. Es que somos hispanos, somos dominicanas.
Look, and you have both flavors. You got vanilla and chocolate right here.
Yes.
Bueno,
and look, I'm in the Republic right now.
Rico, oh my God, what I wouldn't give to be over there right now. You have no idea how much I want to travel. I'm gonna disappear for 30 days, I swear.
By the way, I'm in Dominican Republic, but I'm still working, I work from wherever I'm at, I'm working because I like to give the service to each and one of my clients. You know, I don't work 24/7, but wherever I'm at, I'm working.
That's right. That makes two of us.
Yes,
so tell me, is there something that we have missed that you consider important with the title process that you want to share with the people that are watching us? What I wanted to get people to understand that this is why from execution of contract to closing, we could take a full 30 days. And this is not to minimize her work, but this is only one of the many pieces of the puzzle that go into an executed contract. We're talking about a realtor is involved, a title company, the listing agent, the buyer agent, a transaction coordinator, an insurance company, a lender, an inspection company, an appraisal company. So I wanted people to understand that sometimes when we talk execution to closing and why we take sometimes a full 30 days, and that doesn't include if we have city money, if we have grants involved, if we have, anything, any additional piece that's being added, these processes could take a little longer, sometimes less, but I wanted people to see the importance of our work and how we ensure that the transfer of this property is taken care of efficiently, meeting dates, not putting people's money at risk. But of course, all that happens if you are dealing with professionals that have been in the industry for an X period of time. Hence, Jeanette's been in this 27 years. I've been a realtor and a mortgage broker since 2008. Prior to that, I've had a mortgage company, I've had a title company, I have a real estate company. So we've been around for quite a while. So when we are putting together a deal, we definitely do it. We don't think it's a piece of paper on somebody's desk. Absolutely. We understand this is people's hard-earned money.
Right. Okay. And you know what, Kathy? Also, I want to say this because it's very important that our client know this, and of course everyone else. But when we come at the time of the closing, or perhaps when you're doing a mortgage, I hear this a lot, and it's very important for me. Okay. If you are married, and I'm sorry I have to bring this up, if you are married,
okay.
Kathy and I are single, but
yes,
we learned, right, Kathy? We learned.
We did. We've learned a lot. A lot.
So when you are married and you are separated, in the state of Florida, is either you marry or you divorce. So if you buying a property, it's very important. Either you marry because your wife needs to sign or your husband needs to sign, or either you divorce. That's important.
Understand there is no gray area in here.
No, there's no maybe or yes, no. So it's very important. So when I have a closing, it says here you marry. Yeah, but my wife is not going to be on title. In the state of Florida, it's a 50-50 state. Your wife needs to sign. It's very important. Your wife, your husband, it don't matter. Now, if you are divorced, then you have to provide this. These are for refinance and for the sellers. You have to provide your divorce decree because we need to find out how we're gonna go ahead and split everything at the time of the closing. It's
You mean proceeds, like any
yeah,
proceeds from the sale.
so that's very important. So a lot of people tell me, no, I don't want my husband to sign. Your husband needs to sign. Now, a lot of people tell me, he's not here. I got married in perhaps in Dominican Republic. It don't matter. It don't matter. If you buying a property and you are married, your husband needs to sign. Very important. If you are divorced and your wife is still untitled, very important. I need to see your divorce because I need to see if that divorce is splitted. So it's very important that we have that fact as well. A lot of realtors don't know this because they don't say it. The client doesn't say it, but they have to make sure that when you sign a contract, are you married or single? Who's on title? Who's going to be on title? Are you guys legally married? You want him on title? You understand? All of that, we have to put it all together all the time.
Which is why that takes us back to your original point.
Right.
That buyer and seller questionnaire that is being filled out lets you know these details because this is important. How people, when you're buying, it's important for Gina to know how they're going to hold title. Okay. Yes. That has a lot to do. And when we end in that, when you're talking probate, when you're talking successions, when you're talking trust, which we're going to have a workshop that her and I, Jeanette and I, are putting together some really good things, which we're going to tell everybody about at the end. Okay. We have things planned for October. We have things planned for November. We have things planned for December. So we got a lot of good stuff set up for our audience.
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
Tell us, Ja, you've done the cleaning of the title. You got your estoppel. You got the lender information. So you've already supplied all this to everybody. We're getting ready to get a clear to close. So I always want people to understand that the person who sets up the closing is the title company. Okay?
Absolutely. We schedule the closing, and it's very important that when we schedule the closing, if you are married, your husband needs to come or your wife needs to come. Make sure you bring your valid driver's license. And the most important thing, I normally like all the clients to send me the certificate of approval first, more than everything.
You're talking association?
Association and condominium association as well. Yes. So that's very important that you bring all of that. And of course, we do not accept cashier check. Everything has to be either wired at the time of the closing. So that's very important. We are the one who is responsible to give the amount that you have to bring at closing. My mom.
So a lot of people say, okay, who's going to give me the direction? So it's a combination when you're dealing with a mortgage, the lender, and anybody who missed my live before, the lender was on before so that you can understand what the lender's responsibilities are when it comes to your loan, okay, and how the lender works in partnership with the title company. There are things that have to go combined. They send what's called the CD to the buyer. Jeanette gets certain documents. And then at that point in time, Jeanette works those final numbers, tells everybody what they're supposed to bring, tells me, hey, we can schedule the closing. So now all parties understand we're having a closing on this date because, again, the lender has their processes to abide 3 days before, et cetera, et cetera. So that time is scheduled by the title company because she
Right.
has to make sure certain things are in order
Right.
to allow for that closing. So I wanted to just, before we get to the closing part, because we did forget this, tell me a little bit about what is the importance of title insurance so that we could explain what that is, why it's important, and why is it included as part of your closing.
Right. So title insurance, we are protecting the lender and we are protecting the buyer as well. So it's very important that we collect the title insurance. I mean, it's a must. If there's a lender involved, we have to collect title insurance. Reason why? If something comes up in title and we did not collect at the time of the closing, that's what title insurance is for. It protects you of anything that we didn't do correctly. So this is why a lot of people sometimes rush. Oh, I want to close this very fast, very fast. But listen, by rushing, we're gonna make a mistake. So
Okay.
it's very important that we don't. I know, we human, we make mistake and things like that. But one thing, a title company does not want a claim against them. So
Mm-hmm.
this is why we have to clear title the right way.
So
Take
so that people can understand, okay, they're not making you carry, title policy. What they're doing is taking care of any imperfections that can occur. And at the end of the day, the title company does not benefit if, in
right.
fact, there is a title deficiency. So no title agent wants to have to make
No,
a claim against the insurance because that alone is a problem. So I don't want people to think, oh, the title insurance, the title company is making money off of the title insurance.
no, not at all. I mean, we are protecting you. We are protecting the lender. We're not here to take your money. We are here to protect you. And we charge promulgated. So there's no way that we overcharging you in the title insurance because everything has to be promulgated. And it protects you because, if anything happen, any defect, sometimes there's a cloud in the title that may be a title company. I don't know. I'm talking for myself. We haven't had one, thank God, because I double check my work more than 3 times to make sure that everything is okay. But we have to make sure that we clean that title correctly so we won't have these kind of problems. And it's very important that they do purchases. A lot of people on a cash deal, they're like, why do I have to uh, get title insurance? It's cash. I don't need a owner's. And yes, you do, because you don't know what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I
Perfect.
suggest that every person should purchase their title insurance. Absolutely.
So now we took care of all these things. We've dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. We're getting to the good part. We are scheduled for a closing. You've already told us what they need to bring to their closing. If they're married, they got to bring their spouse. Okay. Um, a lot of times, if you're dealing with divorce, does this person have to be there in person? Or can you do some of these things remotely with one person can sign one day, another person can sign another day? Tell us a little bit about that because there might be some people dealing with certain true scenarios and they don't necessarily have to be in the same room together to sign a closing, correct?
Right, absolutely. They don't have to be, buyers and sellers don't have to be together in the same closing in the conference room. And also divorce people that are getting, excuse me, a divorce, they don't have to be in the same um, conference room. In reference to electronic or notary camp, I really don't like to do that because that's where all the fraud begins, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I do it if it's something that we have no control anymore, but I really don't like to do the notary camp because this is where people, no, I am who I am, and yes, this is my driver's license. Uh, I'm a little bit skeptical about that. So I preferred to people to come to the closing. If it's a mail away, I want that person to go in front of a notary and make sure they sign anything. Now, If there is people like in Israel, I had a closing in Israel the other day, and he said, I want to do electronic signature. And I said, I
Mm-hmm.
don't do electronic signature. That's impossible. So it got me kind of scared because, electronic signature. Yeah, you don't do electronic signature. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
title companies do electronic signature. And I'm like, no, no, we don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that we get all the information from the seller side. Oh, if you don't you don't do electronic signature, I'm going to another title company. Be my guest, because it's a risk. It's
Mm-hmm.
totally
That
a
you
risk.
as a title company in your business model, you've chosen not to do.
No. Well,
Okay,
you can't, in the state of Florida, you can't do electronic signature. Who's gonna notarize electronic signature?
exactly. So it has
Now,
to be in person.
yeah, it has to be either in person or notary camp that is registered by the state of Florida or the United States of America. And there's certain restriction to that. They got to have all your information, IDs and everything, making sure that you are who you are.
You are. Exactly. Exactly.
And
Well,
it costs a lot of money as well. It costs
mm-hmm.
money.
Yeah. So then now we have a date for the closing. Everybody signs. We take
Right.
the picture. So what is next? Is this the end of your participation in the transaction? How do you want to end tonight? Because I know the last time we did this, we started talking about trusts. So, which is an important piece for us as, the partnership that you and I have. We
Right.
understand that a lot of people don't really think beyond, okay, I've closed, I bought a house, but what if something happens to me tomorrow? What happens to my house? Hence, I understand you do probate as well. What is
Right.
probate? That's when somebody on title passes away and leaves no will or designation as to what happens to that property. Who does it go to? So, talk to us a little bit about that job. The person closed. What is your recommendation to ensure that if something happens to the owner of this property, this doesn't get handed to probate, or to some people that have no skin in the game? It's not their property, and then it's up to the judge and the courts to decide who the property is going to. So what is it that we recommend that people do once they own a property?
Well, at the time of the closing, it's very important that the warranty deed says a clause. A lot of people that are married, husband and wife, um, it's just husband and wife. But for instance, if you and I are buying a property and we decided, to buy a property together, and we just friends,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but we so close that, we trust each other. So therefore, I will say Katherine Vicioso and a single woman, and Jeanette Perdomo, a single woman, join as tenants of survivorship. So in case, God forbid, something happens to you, I take over. You understand?
So then the whole idea is that if something happens to me, the property, now you are 100% owner
Right,
of that property.
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay. So, and when Kathy says that I do probate, I actually don't do probate myself, but I work with an attorney that I process with probate and trust. And I I went through an experience very bad when COVID came, and a lot of people pass away without no probate, no trust, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important. This is another topic, but it's very important that at the time of the closing, you got to tell, this is why it's very important, the seller information sheet and the buyer information sheet, because it says it very clearly. How is it that you go, excuse me, how is it that you're going to take title?
Mm-hmm.
Very important that you tell us how you're going to take title at the time of the closing.
So let's say you and I, let's say a married couple,
Uh-huh.
depending on how they hold title, they have children.
Right.
One has children from one marriage, another one has children from another marriage. So do these kids inherit the property automatically?
Well, this is a very, it's a, that's the, for, well, if it's their homestead, and they bought their property together when they got married, yes, the kids inherit the property.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hence why it's going to
Unless
be
they left something in writing, then that's different. Yes.
exactly, which is how we ended the last live. We are very big on not just closing your property and say, hey, now you're the owner, but we want you to take it a step further and have certain conversations with us about inheritance, setting up trusts, so that if and when something were to happen, your property is protected, okay? And your property is going into the hands of the people you want it to go into, okay? So that was the major point.
I had a closing the other day. It was a probate. The mother and the father left the property to the daughter. But guess what?
What?
The father remarried again. And she wanted some of that property. But because that was her mother and her father homestead, and she was the only daughter, the wife was not entitled to the homestead property. But she went to court, she fight and everything, and she lost the case.
Okay. So this is the importance, people, okay, of dealing with somebody who understands title, who has the background behind them, okay, so that she can foresee and try to minimize, because there's no guarantee, but try to minimize any future situations that can occur when you are buying a home. So one of the things, and with this we'll end it tonight, is that we're going to be having first-time home buyer workshops.
Absolutely.
We're already putting together our first one in the next 3 weeks in October. So we're kind of deciding whether we're doing it on a Thursday night or we're doing it on a Saturday morning.
Right.
But we're going to be advertising it here on our social media, letting everybody know. So we're going to do the first one in English. The second one we're doing in Spanish. So stay tuned, because during these workshops, we go into some of these subjects more in detail. People have the ability and the possibility to ask any questions. We're going to have a lender there. We're going to have Jeanette there who does the title. We're going to have a CPA. So we have a lot of people. So if there's anything in particular that we have not covered this evening for people that are looking to buy a home or have any questions, already own a home and have the concern, hey, am I holding title properly? Should I have this looked at? How do I leave my property in the hands of the individual that I want to inherit it? Well, we are people. We are the people to talk to. So keep in mind that if you have anybody that wants to buy a house, that wants to sell a house, that wants to invest, reach out to us. I think Cynthia is connected. So Cynthia, if you can help us poniendo los números de teléfono, tanto de Jeanette como mío de la oficina, para que las personas que están conectadas con nosotros esta noche se puedan comunicar con cualquiera de las dos, con cualquier preguntita que ellos tengan. So Cynthia's going to put our contact information if she's there. If not, if I don't see her, then I'm going to go ahead and put it in there so that people can connect with us. Keep in mind, I'm the real estate broker, okay? So I help you find the house, get you ready to buy. Jeanette is the person that will help us clear title and make sure that what is being handed to you is a property with no problems and definitely has a clear title. And then a little bit further, because obviously she wants to make sure she's addressed any concerns, giving you the utmost service. So she always, and this is what I've enjoyed about working with Jeanette, she thinks a little further than just let's get you to a closing. Let's just protect that asset that you've worked so hard, to acquire. So this is the biggest investment people make in their entire lives. We don't want to see you in probate. We don't want to see this house in probate. People fighting over who owns it or who should keep it. So definitely, you know, we take a couple additional steps, might be a little bit more uncomfortable because we have to ask more questions, but trust me, you're going to enjoy that because all that means is that we are protecting your asset. Correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Kathy, I wanted to tell you that, you know, I came here for a purpose
Yeah.
because I know what's the real estate in the Dominican Republic. And today I spoke to few attorneys.
Okay.
And if you guys need anything in the Dominican Republic, Kathy has a lot of experience, and I'm getting a lot of experience.
Yes. First hand. You're getting it firsthand.
Yes, yes. So this is like an adventure. I mean, I learned so much today. I was with 5 hours with different attorneys and banks of Dominican Republic, and this is booming. Oh my God. We need to talk a lot, Kathy. But
Yes.
this is going to be very excited for you and I because we are businesswomen, and a lot of businesswomen out there who wants to join us. Please let us know. But this is awesome.
No, I know there's a lot of good stuff going on over there, and I'm super excited. I mean, it is our native country, and
Yes.
we know that there's just a lot of opportunity. Real estate is something that's on another level right now.
Is. It sure is. And I'm loving it. I mean, I have another meeting tomorrow with a bank and two attorneys more. And I'm just like so excited. I never thought that I would do business in the Dominican Republic.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's beautiful. Oh my God. And I'm all the way in Santiago de los Caballeros. Oh my God, this is the bomb. I
Well,
love
you know that I'm not very familiar with Santiago, believe it or not. I've only been there like in passing.
right.
But I understand. I mean, I'm from the Dominican Republic, so I think every aspect of the
Yeah.
Dominican Republic is absolutely beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
So it just depends what you're looking for,
Right.
what where your family is from. So
Right.
the idea is the same way we give you the service and the information of what real estate is in the United States, specifically Florida. Obviously, we are your go-to people now for you to want to invest
And
in
you
the
know, and
Dominican
you know
Republic.
what? And you
What?
know what, Kathy? Wow, I thank God for my mother. She is so smart. You know,
Yeah.
she was the one who encouraged me. I remember when I was like 32, 33, to
Uh-huh.
get into the real estate industry because my mother bought her home when she was 35 years old. And remember, my mom had 8 kids.
Oh my
And can I
God.
tell you, she went with me today to all the reunion with the attorneys and the lenders. I'm like, I wonder. I like title. I was listening to her, and you know, my mom is gonna be 78 years old, and she still has knowledge. She's so smart. This is why she has this beautiful home that she has here.
No, that's why. Hey, smart ladies,
Yeah, she has
birth,
homes.
birth smart ladies. So look at us too. Our mamas are something
Oh my
else.
God, mom, forget it. I can't.
So
Your mom is the bomb because let me tell you, me quito el sombrero alante de tu madre. Con
so
todo
look,
el respeto.
your mom gave out a businesswoman like you. My
Yes,
mom, same thing, Doña
yes,
Rosa. So hey,
yes,
we have a lot to be grateful for. You know, we're super blessed, and
yes.
definitely I wanted to thank everybody that connected with us today. And this live is recorded, okay, and will be posted today. So share, everybody who's watching, share with other people. Stay connected with us. My lives are Tuesday at 6,
Yes.
Thursdays at 7. Do not miss the whole series. Next we're gonna have well, not the appraiser yet. So we're gonna have the
Probate.
inspection company.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna have the insurance company. Eventually, we're gonna have an appraiser. So stay tuned. We still have a lot more information, and
Absolutely.
we're not expecting you to remember everything. So it's recorded. You want to go back and forward, watch it again. We're
Oh, just a call.
right now here. So, so it paused my screen. Now we have a tornado warning. Well, just wanted to say thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I will see you soon, okay?
Take care. Be careful.
I know. This is freaking me out. But I'll talk to you later. Que
Okay.
descansen y buenas noches a las personas que se conectaron con nosotros. Good night.